Hi, I'm Mike Marino, and this is a brand new episode of Live from My Mother's Basement. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Live from My Mother's Basement. We're recording this show in the actual basement that I grew up in. You guys know all about it. And I have a really cool cat coming on the show right now. This is Silvio D'Onofrio. Did I say your last name right?
You said it right, man. You said
D'Onofrio.
It right.
Nice
Perfect.
Italian fella. Shake my hand. Look at his fucking arms. This kid's got guns and tattoos.
Not that crazy. A lot of tattoos. The guns, they can get bigger.
He's Italian. He's got a gun. Even if it ain't here, it's in the house somewhere. You have a gun?
I actually don't.
No?
Believe it or not, I don't. My dad just recently has been harassing me and my brothers to get our gun license because he's got like 10 handguns. He's like, I don't want to die and the government take them. I'm like, all right. So I still haven't done it yet, though.
Well, you know what? That's interesting because I've been thinking about getting a gun. I just want like a pistol or something that I keep in the house just in case. I mean, there's traditionally a baseball bat in every corner of this house. And I have a gun that belonged to my father when he was 16. It's over there in the corner.
Yeah.
He shot it twice and it hasn't been shot again.
Oh, okay.
So it's an antique.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's worth anything. It's a 42. I used to tell my father all the time, could we shoot somebody? He goes, yeah, but they probably won't die.
They won't die. Yeah. That's like my grandpa has like, I don't know what it is, some kind of shotgun. And like, he's got like a little farm. And like when like raccoons, he'll try to shoot him. I'm like, he's like, this ain't going to kill him. These things are big. He's like, I got to hit him a couple of times. I'm not fast enough. I'm like, all right.
I would like to do that. You know, I would never shoot a squirrel. I would never shoot a rabbit. But some kind of like a possum I would shoot.
Oh, possum I would shoot. Possums are nasty things.
They're so ugly.
They're
Actually,
rough.
I've never shot anything in my life. Well, there's this one guy. No, I'm only kidding.
I've only shot a gun once. My dad like took me and my brothers and my wife actually to the gun range. And like, I'll talk like a big tough guy, but I was like, at first I'm like, I'm a little nervous. It's going to hit me like in the face. But it was pretty cool. But I could only stay there for like 10 minutes and I was bored.
I shot a couple of guns in the gun range. It was cool shooting a machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool shooting a big, fat, heavy pistol. But then after you're done, you're like, okay.
Yeah, there's like nothing to it. I know people will be there all day.
Yeah.
I don't understand how. Like,
Yeah, it's like, what? Maybe they practice. Maybe shooting a bow and arrow might be kind of cool.
that would be cool. I would rather shoot a bow and arrow than a gun.
At a target.
Yeah.
Or
Something
a can.
Really cool. Or even like, I went one time, it was the same time with my dad. We went to like, I guess the rifle and pistols, a different like area. And they were doing the clay. I missed every one. But my dad's like, nah, you got to aim. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I got no aim. On video games, I'm great. But real life, it's not going to work for me.
Video game, I could kill anything.
Video game, I'll shoot you from a mile away like Bobby Lee Swagger. But when it comes to real life, I'm not hitting anything.
Once I was in Florida and some guy had that thing where you pull and the thing goes up in the air and you shoot it. After 20 minutes, I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah, that's basically like what we did with my dad. It didn't work out for me.
I'd rather shoot an alligator.
Oh, you ever watch Swamp Kings?
No.
Oh, you got to watch it. They hunt alligators. They like catch them with like a rope and then they like put the gun right over and like shoot them in the back of the head.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, I'm into really weird reality shows. It's a weird.
How much choice do we have? It's everywhere.
That's true. Everything's a reality show now. So
I got to watch my own show someday. This is a reality. The behind the scenes of trying to stay in the entertainment business your whole life.
That alone would be a great show.
It should be a great show. They probably made shows about it, but people in the real world don't even believe it because I don't believe it. We've got the most incredible, sickest, craziest, nicest, sweetest, happiest, most fucked up business.
Oh, I could. What's like the craziest thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh, man, every day. Every day something
I can only imagine,
crazy.
like the stories.
The thing is, sometimes not sometimes, a lot of the time, you do a very successful live performance, which we're going to talk about your big successful live performance at Madison Square Garden. You become so addicted to that feeling.
Yeah, that high.
That you can't stop.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why now, because of the internet, so many people are like, I can do it.
Yeah.
Because they feel a little bit of that high and they're like, oh, wait a minute. This is better than fucking marijuana.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, see? He's addicted. You can see his face.
It's the best. Like, I remember when we did shows with you, like me, Pork, and everyone, when I was driving home, Pork had looked over at me. He's like, I could tell. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're high. I'm like, no, I didn't do any drugs. He's like, no, you're high from that crowd. I'm like, oh, yeah. It's not money for me. It's the people being like, oh, you were so great. I could live off that high for days.
Yeah, but it also will make you crash.
Oh, yeah.
So after a couple of days, you're like, when am I going to get to do that again?
Yeah.
And if I don't get to do that again, I'm going to get depressed.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems with people in show business, because if you're in it all the time, 24/7, you could do a major project on a Saturday. By Monday, you start jonesing for the next weekend. By Tuesday, Wednesday, you're like, oh my God, I'm a loser.
Yeah, I've experienced that, and I'm nowhere even at the height of you. So
but then you get to Friday, Saturday, you're like, I'm a winner.
I'm back.
Sunday, you're like, I kicked ass. Monday, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I need more.
I'll never forget after I did shows with you. I think we did like the theater was the last one. It was like Saturday or Friday, whenever it was. And I remember I went to work, the Monday following, and I was on the phone with my friend. I'm like, God, I'm over here working for the man. Yesterday, I was making people die laughing. And now I'm just a sucker again.
Yeah.
And I was like,
all the way back
I was
down.
so down on myself.
But you can't.
Yeah.
And what you have to do, and I always was the type of guy who didn't do it anyway, be around people who've been in the business for a long time, who don't have an attitude, who will take your phone call, and they will keep you level-headed. Because I have guys like that in my life. Dom Irera, Bob Gonzo, it is a lot. I'm going to forget everybody now. But you call them up and you're like, hey, man, did you ever experience this? And they're like, well, yeah, every day. And they'll talk you down.
Yeah.
So just to let everybody know, we're talking about the high you get when you're a live performer. Because when you're on a movie set and you're on a TV, you don't get that high really, because you could do it, you don't like it, they do it again.
Yeah.
When you're live in front of an audience, that's it, do or die. You bomb, you're fucked.
Yeah.
and there's no coming back, and there's no go to a commercial break. You're on.
It's the longest 30 seconds of your life. Like
30
however
seconds,
long it is,
minutes.
feels like 10 days.
5 minutes would feel like 2 hours.
Yeah.
If you're going down in flames like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember that feeling.
Listen, I experienced it. I actually did a show, and I did the normal set I do. It killed. I had another show an hour later, same exact set. It was bad, a bomb, and it was only a 7-minute set, and 2 minutes in, it was bad. There was a point I'm like, how is 7 minutes not up now? It felt like 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
It was bad. It was real bad.
We're going to go in reverse. We'll find out what's going on in his life and how we know each other, and how you guys are going to get to see him do some live performance on stage and also on his social media. But recently, the greatest night of my life to date was December 21 of 2024, when I was the opening act for Bob Anderson at the world-famous Carnegie Hall in New York City. And everybody's looking at me like, wow, he must have the most incredible agent and manager. Holy crap, Marino's at Carnegie Hall. No. The truth is, 4 years ago, I was doing stand-up at a private party in Los Angeles, California, and a lady was in the room who was a producer. I didn't know anything about it. I just did what I did, made my couple of bucks, and I went home. 4 years goes by, I get a phone call and says, we'd like you to perform at Carnegie Hall in New York City with Bob Anderson. I said, how do you know me? She goes, I saw you at a birthday party. Boom, I got the job. Now we go to Carnegie Hall, and my name's on the marquee, my name's in spotlights. I got to walk out and do a 20-minute set. It was the greatest night of my life. The band goes up, they play, everything is fantastic. And this is just, you got chills, you're signing autographs, everybody knows, it's all over the internet, your phone is buzzing, buzzing, buzzing. They don't even ask you how you did. They just like, wow, you played Carnegie Hall? Oh man, we got to get you, we got to book you, we got to book you. Now here comes even the more fun, right? Mm-hmm. I was invited by other celebrities who sing a Sinatra-type show to go across the street to the Carnegie Club. Mm-hmm. The Carnegie Club, it looks like a little wise guy hangout from Goodfellas. And everybody in there was smoking cigars. They were smoking cigars inside.
That's old school. They don't usually let that alone.
Oh, it looked like it was the 1940s.
I like this place.
And so Steve Maglio, who does a Sinatra review, was at my show with his wife. And I know Steve a long, long time. I've done many shows with Steve, with Dina Martin, Dean's daughter. We went to the cutting room. We go here, there, and everywhere. So he says, get a message to Marino. Tell him we're at the club across the street. Mm-hmm. So Bob Anderson and the producers and all the people.
Is this
like, hey,
now this is a private club?
No.
Or just
open to the public.
Okay.
So they all asked me to come.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought my date with me, and I said, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
So we go across the street. It's freezing cold. We have a room down the block. I got a suit on, and we're freezing. and there's a line down the block to get in this club.
Oh, God.
So I go up to the doorman and I said to him, hello, my name's Mike Marino, and I just got done playing across the street at Carnegie Hall, and Bob Anderson and so-and-so, they asked me to come. And he looked at me and went, just get in the back of the line.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, oh, shit.
That high dropped real quick.
I says, okay, I don't know if we're going to wait because it's too cold. My girlfriend's too cold. I says, but would you just tell Steve Maglio that Mike Marino did come by?
Yeah.
And I could see him through the window singing in front of an orchestra. The trombones are playing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like Sinatra's in there.
Yeah.
And I just got done doing a Sinatra show.
Yeah.
And I see that Bob Anderson's in there and the producer's in there. I could see them through the glass. Well, just like Goodfellas, a little Italian guy smoking a cigar opens the door and goes, Mr. Marino, I apologize. We've been waiting for you.
Oh, that's great.
And I cut the line. I grab my girl's hand. We go in. We're bumping people, cut through the kitchen. You know, I heard you did great over Carnegie Hall. Oh, yeah. And boom, table in the front.
Oh, that's
two
awesome.
glasses of wine, charcuterie board. Then all of a sudden you hear Steve Maglio go like this. Ladies and gentlemen, straight from Carnegie Hall across the street, comedian Mike Marino's here. Everybody's cheering. I'm shaking hands with all these people.
It's the best feeling in the world.
Oh, you're the
best.
king. You're the king. And we're eating, and then you go to your room and whatever happens. The next day, this is getting back to what I said. I go like this. I got to take a cab back to New Jersey.
Oh, God.
This sucks. What the fuck? And how come I'm not at Madison Square Garden? See how fast?
Oh, yeah. It's like, people don't realize it's overnight. Like, you could do something absolutely amazing. And like, even a couple hours later, you're like, look at me.
I'm never going to get another job.
Yeah.
It's over. I hit the highlight. Actually, a day or two went by and a friend of mine who I went to acting school with called me and said, I sat in the audience and I looked at you and I said to myself, I know Marino 40 years. Look at him. This is surreal.
Yeah.
He's on Carnegie Hall stage.
That's
and
awesome.
Mariah Carey was in the other room while I was performing. She was performing.
Oh, that's
in
awesome.
There's two rooms.
That's cool.
But you see how that is? So that's what you're in for.
Yeah.
You will go really, really high and crash. But you don't have to worry because if you can actually go that high,
You can get back.
you're going to go back.
Okay.
As long as you're a good human being,
Yeah.
you're cordial and nice to everybody. Because we were also talking about some people who maybe they get fame a little too fast or what they think is fame.
Yeah.
They turn their back on you. And wait till you see what happens when they come looking for you in the future.
Yeah.
Down and out. Busted.
I've seen that now, and like, I haven't even been in it long. I've really only been doing comedy for like a little over a year. And like, I've already seen that with like people I know. And it's not, I think the internet also is like a big, if someone they get a lot of followers, they think they're, a celebrity now.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a big, there's a girl I went to high school with who has 1 million followers, still lives at her parents' house, doesn't have her own car. But on the internet, she's Pamela Anderson and, in the Baywatch days. So it's like.
Well, hey, that could be an example because Pamela Anderson was the hottest thing during the Baywatch days and then you never heard from her.
Yeah.
Now she's on the comeback trail with something different going on in her world and she's not wearing any makeup.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful thing because she's a good person. She deserves to keep on going. So let's go backwards. So you're born and raised Staten Island?
No. People think that. I was actually born in Queens. I lived in Ozone Park. And then I moved out to Long Island when I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know much about Ozone Park, but you just remember from the 80s they had those breakdancing movies that the one guy's name was Ozone and he was a breakdancer and you thought that Ozone Park was like the toughest neighborhood. Don't go through there. They're going to beat the shit out of you. You're going to get mugged. There's graffiti everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, where I grew up, it wasn't like that.
No?
It was like it was a really nice area. I still go over there occasionally, not to visit anybody, but with my job, I go. That's like one of my areas.
Ozone Park is Queens?
It's in Queens, yeah. It's like you heard Howard Beach?
Yeah.
So where I lived, like the Belt Parkway runs down, and then Howard Beach is right there. I'm just on the opposite side of the Belt Parkway.
It's so confusing because we had a guest on the show the other day and he was saying he was from the Bronx. And I says, I can't figure this New York shit out. Why is it called the Bronx or the Bronx? Why is it not just Bronx? Because when you write it as an address, it says Bronx, New York.
Yeah, not the Bronx.
Why?
I don't know. It's just, I guess as a New Yorker, I was built with it.
Nobody's telling me why they call it the Bronx. Maybe somebody going to write into the show and tell.
Oh, that would be great. So we know. Well,
so then why do you call it Ozone Park? Why is it just not Queens?
I don't know. I think it's just like a little area. Like, so for instance, like for my job, I've been in Brooklyn the past 9 years. I couldn't tell you any area of Brooklyn. You know, there's like Borough Park, Industry City, Bed-Stuy, Canarsie. No matter where I am, I never know what area I'm in. I've had an office I've called on forever, and literally 2 weeks ago, I'm like, oh, this is Industry City, right? She's like, no, it's Borough Park. And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
It's confusing.
It's like small little neighborhoods, people just want to, oh, no, I live in Williamsburg. It's high class. Like, I think it like because they're all like 5-6 block spaces. It's not like they're.
I don't really know Brooklyn. I've heard of all these terms.
Yeah.
Areas, and I don't know Ozone Park. That just always scared the shit out of me. I'm not going to Ozone Park, and I'm driving by the Bronx, and I'm going above Brooklyn. I'm coming to Jersey. We're in the suburbs. It's safe.
Yeah.
So, but now you're Staten Island.
No, I'm Long Island.
Long Island.
Yeah.
Why did I think Staten Island?
So honestly, everyone on the internet, everyone thinks I'm from Staten Island. I only went to Staten Island for the first time my whole life 2 years ago. I had never been to Staten Island my entire life.
I thought you were a Staten Island guy. That's why I was saying, why don't you come over during the day and we'll do a pre-record because Staten Island's not too far from here, but Long Island can be a bitch.
Truthfully, it only took me like an hour and like 40 minutes. So
That's
it wasn't
a
bad.
fucking bitch. All right, well, we're going to get you out of here soon. So you grow up there, and now I believe the business that you're in is kind of like what your wife does.
Yeah.
And that is Botox.
Yeah, so like Botox, lip filler, basically like aesthetics. So I just do like the toxin. I don't actually sell Botox. That's just what everyone calls it, but a brand of toxin. And then like lip fillers, cheek fillers.
So you sell it to where?
Doctors, hospitals, med spas.
So do you work for yourself or you're a salesman for a company?
I work for the company. Like I'm a salesman for the company.
No kid.
Yeah, so I'm a rep, and then basically we get, let's say I go to you and you're like, I want to try, we have a new product, you want to try it. Instead of you buying it up front, I'll give you a sample, set up a training, teach them how to use this product, and then, they buy. So I'm just like an account manager at this point. Like I've done it so long, I know all the accounts. So it makes my job a lot easier.
That's really great. So you have your survival job so that you can get into show business.
Exactly.
And your wife, she does the Botox?
So we own a med spa as well. And then she's the main provider.
A med spa.
Yeah.
Where men and women go to get Botox injections.
Facials, everything.
See, I don't know about this thing. Oh, you get a facial. That I know.
We don't really do facials. We have an esthetician that's like right in the area that we like send everyone to, because like for us it's not enough money for like my wife to take an hour to do it when she could do 3-4 Botox patients and make quadruple that. So we don't really.
So how do you? I don't really know anybody that goes to get Botox. I've never gotten Botox. I see some people who got Botox, and I feel like, you're way too young. You should have left yourself alone.
Yeah.
There's some people obviously went and got plastic surgery. You can't even identify them anymore.
Yeah.
It's pretty creepy. But there are some people who get Botox for medical reasons, right?
So there's 36, I think now 37 therapeutic indications, whether it's migraines, hyperhidrosis in the hands, underarms, cervical dystonia, when you have like twitches like with your muscles. They have it for pediatric. There's a ton more. I'm not on the therapeutic side, so I don't know all the diseases that it covers, but it's a lot. TMJ, when you grind your teeth here, it's a lot of stuff it could do.
I do that once in a while when I sleep.
Yeah.
I grind
That's
my
usually
teeth.
what like people get it for.
Really?
So, yeah.
But it's a different type of Botox?
Same Botox. Same exact thing.
Botox is a lip filler? Is the same?
No. So lip filler, so like a lot of times when people are like, oh, you look so different, that's not Botox. You'll never know if someone got really Botox. When you see someone like, that's all like filler. So all Botox does is it paralyzes the muscle. So like for you, for instance, Mike, like you're a little older. So like the lines you have now, the wrinkles, like they're more static. So it's not going to like cure it. It'll like soften it. So my wife does like Botox on me. So, I mean, I need it done. I got it like 6 months ago, but it'll just soften these lines. And then like when you smile, your crow's feet, and then just this line here. You could do it in a million places. You can do your platysmal bands, your traps.
What I'm thinking is, I get these bags under my eyes because I don't really
filler.
sleep. Look at that.
That you would need filler.
Filler?
Yeah.
I ain't filling my face with nothing.
Yeah.
Right now I'm trying not to fill my mouth with meatballs. All right, so that's what she does. That's what you do, and that's You want to tell everybody where they can find your wife and you to do that type of thing?
So you could find my wife. We're in Long Island in like the Lake Grove area. Her spa is JD Aesthetics. Her website's jdaestheticsny.com.
JD Aesthetics.
Yep.
ny.com. Yeah. If you're in the Long Island area, does she travel?
No.
Everything goes to the
Everything
salon?
goes there. She was just nominated for best overall injector.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we'll find out in April. As of the other day, they put out like a kind of like where everyone is laying, and she was in second. But we'll find out in like end of March where she is.
Yeah, I've been watching her Instagram videos.
Yeah, she does a lot of
jacks
Instagram.
people up, and you can actually watch it. Now, I'm squeamish, so you take a needle out in front of me, you better be ready.
Yeah, some of the stuff I've seen when like she'll ask me to help. I saw a guy who, what you said, the bags, wanted something done under his eye, and I happened to be at the office and I hear her scream. She's like, "Can you get me a soda?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I walk in and the guy was just completely passed out.
Why? They got squeamish?
Well, the best part is I was like, "Oh, you already did it?" And she was like, "No." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "I just showed him a video on Instagram of what it is and he passed out. Didn't even take a needle out." So
you have perfect skin, though. I wouldn't think you need
so
anything.
I do. My wife's I got a skincare routine she makes me do every day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I put like it's like these things are called like exosomes. It's just like a lotion. I put that on and then one other thing, and I use like SPF every day.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, my arms here. It's like a lotion with like 30 SPF because I drive like all day. So the sun hitting you, it like damages your skin.
Look at his arms. He doesn't look like he needs SPF on anything. Look, go like that.
Yeah, they're
it's all tatted out.
fully that and the legs are tattooed.
What are you going to do? You're going to get any color on your tatted skin?
It's more for like skin cancer. So like when I go to get like a yearly skin check, a lot of times like my dermatologist is like, this, like, I don't know what's going on because I can't see spots or anything. So
wow, when I go to the skin doctor, he finds something everywhere. He goes, "Yeah, this might be cancerous. It's called the basal cell." I'm like, "Well, I'm Italian. That's why I got the basil in me. Leave it there." Yeah, and they biopsy and then they call you. Yeah, it was a false alarm. Well, put my you got a hole in my.
Because that hole takes a while to like get back. My wife, she's like very fair skinned, and like for her, she's had like a ton taken off. But one time it actually was like skin cancer. But yeah, they had to like actually operate and take like a huge chunk, and she was like, "God, she was devastated."
Well, I'm a fair skinned guinea, so I don't do too well in the sun anymore. But he's Italian too, with a nice name like Silvia. God bless him.
Yeah.
And so now you wanted to get into show business. It happened, or what happened like a year ago when you thought, "Hey, you know what? I'm funny."
So I always thought I was funny, but I'm sure everyone always thinks they're funny. And there used to be a guy at my barbershop. I won't say his name because I don't want to give him any credit. But there was a guy at my barbershop who used to do a lot of Instagram stuff like 5-6 years ago. And I would give him all these ideas and he'd be like, "Oh, yeah, I'll do it." And like, I wasn't asking for anything. And I told him this one idea I thought was going to be the best idea. I'm like, "Do this, it'll work." And he was like, "Yeah, I don't think it's going to work." And I'm like, "All right, like you probably know better than me." And he posted it one day and it was like his highest viewed video. And I was like, "This is great." And he always comments back. He didn't comment back, which I didn't care, but he DM'd me and was like, "It's not about the idea, it's the execution." And I kind of took that as like an offense. And this guy actually quit his job. He was a fireman, I think, or a cop. And now all he does is stand up everywhere, all over, sells out. He's been doing it for like 3 years, making good money. And every time at the barbershop, like the barber's like, "I don't know how you're funny." Like talking to him, like, "You barely talk." And I was just like, "Nah, he's not funny. If he could do it, I could do it." So I told my wife out of spite, I'm going to prove him wrong. And I'm going to post videos to like build a following. And I'm just going to try to do stand up. So that's like what I did last year. I set like a bunch of goals for myself to try to do. And I accomplished all of them except really one. And then, and then this year I made new goals and try to keep getting after it any way I can. So,
how did we actually meet?
We met. So I had posted a video with a couple of guys I met.
With the tracksuits.
Yeah, with the tracksuits from Harlem. Good guys. This guy, Reg, and this guy, Lo. I met him at a club, Comedy in Harlem. And I was actually the only white guy there. And I guess one of the jokes I said, it was in the winter and it was freezing cold. And everyone was wearing jackets and like they were cracking jokes. And like everyone was making fun of me before I went up. And I'm like, this is horrible. Because there was no green room. We were just on the side. And I went up and I was like, this is like a great place. I know it says like black owned everywhere, but that's not how I knew it was black owned. I'm like, I know because the heat got shut off. And like everyone started dying and looked at me and were like, "What?" And then like I was like, "Yeah, come on, you got to know from that." And then I think the other joke I said is I tell jokes about my kids. and my wife. And I'm like, I know anyone have kids, and like almost everyone raised their hand except a few people. And I'm like, don't you hate your wife? And I'm like, oh, sorry, your baby mama. And like they lost it. So when I left, the guy Reg came up to me. He was like, dude, you were really funny. It like takes a lot of balls, like you know. And I was like, oh, thanks. And I was like, hey, do you want to do videos? He was like a film major, and we came, and I'm like, wear regular clothes. I'll bring some tracksuits. I'm like, why don't you say, hey, you know, my friend's coming. He's Italian. Don't do that stuff you always do. And they were like, what are you talking about? And I walk in a tracksuit, and I'm like, oh. And, you know, you see them in regular clothes, and once it flashes back to them, they're in full tracksuits. And they just start acting super Italian, and then that goes, and then he looks at us, and then when we turn back to him finally, he's in a tracksuit and was like, now I'm a paisan today. That was like, it wasn't my biggest video, but it had been my biggest video from the beginning of the year, and a lot of people had reached out, and then you commented on it. And I remember I was like, because I had always followed you, and I'm like, oh shit, like you were like one of the first big people to like ever like message me about it. And I'm like, oh, this is like great. And I was like, oh, thanks. And like, I have your Make America Italian shirt. Like, so that's why it's funny. And so does my dad. And I remember I called like, and we spoke about this that day. And then I guess you looked at a couple of my other stuff and like had DM'd me, and then we went back and forth, and then I had come here. But I remember when I told my dad, I'm like, hey, you're not gonna believe this. Like Mike Marino, the comedian, he's like, get out of here. Stop bullshitting me. I'm like, I swear to God. So like my dad still like gets like, I don't know what you call it, like a fangirl, like certain people. I remember.
Story-eyed.
Yeah, like even like Lilo Brancaccio followed me, and like he commented on a bunch of stuff. My dad's like, you know that C from the Bronx Tale? I'm like, yeah, Dad, I know. Like, what do you want me to tell you? He's like, why don't you tell him this? I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm just gonna be a normal person. But yeah, and then we had met up. I did a bunch of shows with you, and yeah, I mean that's how we originally met. And I know Pork, who you know as well. And
He's talking about a fellow comedian, Joey Lombardo. They call him Pork Chops.
Yeah.
And he and I have been doing a lot of shows together, and I enjoy it. And I enjoy doing shows with guys I like being around. Mm-hmm. I never really get together with anybody who I think is going to help me with my career, because I'm happy with where I am. And I pretty much, after 30 years of doing stand-up, pretty much know everybody anyway. So getting together with guys who you want to be around and then you propel is better than having somebody say something like, I'll try to help you, and then they don't anyway. So it's a horrible thing. It's actually very cutthroat. Like everybody says show business is going to be, it is. But there are times where, let's say a guy like me will see you performing somewhere and go, you know what, get that guy. Mm-hmm. Let him be in what we're doing. Yeah. And it's not just the live performing. I did my web series. I have my cartoon. I get people who do the voices. We have the Adventures of G.I. Giovanni. And now I love touring live, and I could tell you this. If I put up a post saying I'm performing at Snappers Comedy Club these 3 nights, I'll get at least 20 comedians to email me and say, can I be on the show? Yeah. In lightning speed. And it's a little brutal, because after a while you're like, dude, man, I can't, it's too much. Yeah, it's too much. Plus, some clubs, everything works differently. If I'm a headliner 1 week and I'm not a door deal, I'm a guarantee.
They have their own opener and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Which they're probably not going to pay. Yeah. So if somebody says to me, can I be on the show? I can be like, well, I can get you on the show, but they're not going to pay you.
Yeah, you get a guest spot.
And then you're going to look at me and say, well, then you pay me. And I go, what am I going to work for?
Exactly.
So if you put it into layman's terms, it's like someone saying to your wife, can I get Botox for free? I'll tell everybody I got it from you. Yeah. After a while, you're going to be like, no, I can't do that. I'm going to go broke.
Now I'm losing money. Yeah.
Right. So now if I'm a door deal at a big theater, then I'll say to somebody, okay, listen, if this is what you want to try, you're going to give you this much time. I could pay you this much money for your troubles, but let's go at it. Yeah. So this last show that we all did in Chicago, where I had the ability to bring my crew. Yeah. So I brought Nick, the Schmear guy. Yeah, yeah. And I brought Mario Bosco and another guy from Canada. Mm-hmm. So that was all my thing. And I had to pay those guys, and then the theater paid me.
Pays you, yeah.
But while they're performing, I'm on the side cheering for them. Yeah. Come on, man. Come on, fucking hit it.
Yeah, you want them to crush. It makes you look better too.
Not only that, they'll get to come back on their own in the future. Plus, yes, it does make me look good. And it keeps the rhythm. And they all crushed it. There are other headliners that would prefer they didn't, so it makes them look good.
I was going to say,
I don't do that.
I've seen people that, my buddy Fat Jay, he's like a good friend of mine now. We do a lot of stuff, and he's done shows for like bigger comedians, like, where they're just doing it, and governors or someone puts them up, and the comedian will come off and go, don't ever put that guy before me again. Because like he crushes it and they don't want to look bad. So, and I'm like, to me, I'd be like, I'd rather be around a bunch of killers. This way, it's like everyone there is good.
Yes, it is.
You know, iron sharpens iron. But
yes, because then it's easier for me.
Yeah.
As long as everybody does the right amount of time.
Yeah, that's like, I think that's another big thing.
Because I do have some people say to me, I'm going to crush. I'm like, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I've heard that a ton. I've been at clubs
where
where people are like,
pal.
oh, I'm going to crush.
I'll kill you in seconds.
And I'm like, okay. So I think part of like, I guess this like whole industry too is like, I say to my one friend, it's like, part of it's like a sickness. Like, you're like addicted to doing it. And like, I've talked to people who've gotten off stage before and like, I've been there and you don't hear a peep. But they get off like, oh, I killed it. And I'm like, were we at the same show? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, there'll be like 100 people.
The same show.
3 people left. And like, dude, I killed it. And I'm looking at them like, I know he's not serious right now, right? And I'll say like, you're joking, right? And they're like, you didn't hear everyone laugh? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess you did good. Like, to each his own.
Yeah, I've seen it all, heard it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having fun with it. And I look at guys like you doing what you're doing on the internet, and I'm like, you know what? I want to be part of something bigger. So, I have some projects going on, and I like going behind the camera now too. I want to create for other people. I get a kick out of that. There's a high out of that. I want to write jokes for other people. I want to teach somebody how to do some other stuff because, that's the natural progression.
Yeah.
When we're going behind the camera and being director of a movie now.
Yeah.
And
you get to see like your whole creation like come out. Like, so it's like,
yeah. And I will. It's funny because I've been filming shit that I've done since I'm a kid. And that's why I was telling you I archived all this stuff. I made a mob movie when I was like 18. And I just had my friends do a couple of lines like somebody making an Instagram. So I'm going to start putting that shit out.
Yeah.
And people are going to be like, wait a minute, is that the 80s?
Oh, people will love that. That alone, just like the nostalgia from back then, they'll be like, oh, this is like great.
Yeah, and you got to figure out how to do all of this nonsense, but I do have it, so I'm going to have some fun with that. But I'd like to do some more videos with you.
Yeah, definitely.
And I like the other guys that we've been bonding with. And, for all you people out there that are making your content, it's great. I hope you make great money. Remember, when you go up the ladder, you will come back down. So be careful.
Yeah.
I mean, I know so many celebrities you never heard of from again, and they're all strung out on
disappear
drugs,
in the
or
abyss.
they off themselves. Look at some of the best comedians out there, like Robin Williams. There's some kind of a disconnect, and bye.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen to me. I'm happy. I'm a family guy.
Yeah.
So even if I didn't keep on doing what I'm doing, I got family. I wouldn't do that to them.
I know. I always say that to people. I'm like, I could never just because I feel like you hurt your family more than yourself.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Tell us about this Madison Square Garden experience.
Oh, so I went to Kill Tony and
explain that. Not everybody knows exactly what that is.
So Kill Tony, it's a show. It's in Austin. It's like Tony Hinchcliffe, Brian Redman, and they have like a couple of guest comedians all the time. Like Rogan's on it a lot because it's at his club. Shane Gillis is always on. Adam Ray's on a lot. And they just did last year an arena tour. So they did a ton of arenas and they had 2 nights at MSG. And I was supposed to go with my barbershop and my wife. And my wife is like, I don't like the show. It's not funny to me. Because basically what they do is they have a couple of regulars that do a minute. And then they dig into a bucket, pull people from they have a bar across the street or in the crowd. And you get up, you get a minute. They cut you off. And then they essentially roast you the whole time, or tell you if you were good. And if you're in Austin, a lot of times Red Band owns a club, so he'll come out to the Sunset Strip. I'd like to book you, and you could be a regular. It could change your whole life really. And so I was gonna go, and that Tuesday I actually had a dream. I told my wife, I had a dream I got pulled. I'm like, this is what I was wearing, and she's like, yeah, okay. So I go to the show. I wait outside a couple hours early, sign up, and I didn't sit with the comedians because they wanted to sign up more people. So I was up in the top, and they take your phones away. And I'm just waiting. My barbers come a couple hours later. And the show starts. It's 2.5 hours into the show. They already called 6, 7 people. And I'm like, I'm not getting called. But for some weird reason, I was nervous the whole time I was going up. And me, I'm like, yeah, there's 30,000 people here, whatever. I'm definitely getting called. So I was really nervous. And then finally it was 2.5 hours into the show. I'm like, they said there's going to be maybe 1 or 2 more comedians. I'm like, I'm not getting called. We don't got to worry. And as I'm sitting there, Andrew Dice Clay was coming up, and he did his old jokes. And a flashlight shines on my eyes, and I'm like, And my barber's like, oh my God, they just got your name. And it was a guy with like a white, like eraser board. And it said like, cause when I signed up, I put my name, my section and my seat number. And it was like Silvio D'Onofrio, seat this. And I'm like, oh my God. I got goosebumps just like thinking about it. And I got up and everyone in the section just started cheering. And I'm like, oh God, like now I really gotta like, I remember the guy running, like, cause I was all the way up top running. And I'm like, oh, all right, slow down, buddy. And he's like, no, come on. And I'm like, we get to an elevator and he tells the guy at MSG, can we go down? And like, yeah, we go down. And he's like reading me what I'm allowed to do. He's like, stand on this line. Don't talk to them. When they're talking, their mics are louder. They'll cut your mic. And I'm like, okay. And I'll never forget, we walk all the way around backstage. And I had seen like a couple of the regulars. Like I saw like Cam Patterson, this guy Drew Nickens, a bunch of people over there. And I walk right behind the stage, and it's crazy because it's like stairs to walk up and you just see lights and you hear everything. And I was like, I got time, right? And the guy's like, no, you're going up in about 10 seconds. Like, we can't find the other guy. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now like shit hit the fan. Like I'm in a pure panic. And they have a bartender who named Heidi. And I remember I was like, I'm really nervous. Like, I don't know if I could do this. And the girl Heidi turned around and was like, you're cute, you'll do good. And I remember I was like, oh my God, that just like eased everything. And they were like, the guy was like, go. He just like pushed me, and like Casey Rocket was coming down and he was just like, hey, good luck. And I was like, thanks. And like, I didn't hear anything. It's like I went deaf. And I got up there. I was wearing like a Sergio Tacchini, like short sleeve tracksuit, like, and shorts. And I did like my first joke, and like the crowd started dying. I did like the second part of the joke. Then they really started dying, and you only get a minute. And like they kept laughing for like 4 or 5 seconds. And I remember I was like, please stop. I only have a minute. Like, let me get the rest out. And then I started on the next part. They were laughing. And then boom, I heard the cat, which goes like meow. And then you get cut off and the West Hollywood Bear roars. And I rushed the end of the second joke. And I still, once again, couldn't hear anything. And then it was Shane Gillis was dressed as Donald Trump. Adam Ray was dressed as Joe Biden. Harlan Williams was sitting behind them. And then it was Dave Attell, Tony Hinchcliffe, and Red Band. And he said something, but I really didn't hear it. And he was like, holy fucking shit, we finally got like someone good from the crowd. And I remember I was like, all right, like, now I'm okay. And he was like, you've been doing good. Like, how long you been doing comedy? And I'm like, since at the time it was January. I'm like, January, and this was August. And he was like, holy shit. And David Tell was like, dude, that's killer. So at this point, I'm like, God, I can't even tell you. I thought like my dick was the size of my arms, and I'm like, this is good. And then Harlan Williams was like, let me ask you a question. What time do you play Frisbee golf? Because like the thing I had on was like velour. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, like 12 o'clock, trying to like joke around. And then Tony was like, what time do you deliver weed to Andrew Schultz? And I'm like, oh, he likes it late at night. Like, I said something like that. And they were like, God, he's the only person I know more Italian than you. I didn't think anything. And then he was like, so Andrew, what do you like to do? And like, I heard him call me Andrew at that point. And I'm like, oh, I just figured he confused it for Andrew Schultz. And I was like, oh, all right. And I said something. And then he's like, what's on your leg? Because like you could see my leg tattoos. And I'm like, oh, it's just a bunch of guys. And he's like, yeah, I could see that. What is it? And then Adam Ray was like, ooh, what is it? Doing Joe Biden. I'm like, it's a bunch of like mobsters. And he was like, you mean like the Foot Clan? And I'm like, yeah, the Italian Foot Clan. He's like, well, who are they? So I was like, you want me to name them all? And then like Shane Gillis is like, fucking rat. And I'm like, whoa, easy. Like I have a rat, like a no rat on my leg. And I showed him, and he's like, okay, I'm sorry. Italians are pens. Like he had made a joke before that. He said he loved colored pencils. Everyone had them. And Adam Ray's like, you can't call them colored anymore. He's like, okay, I'm sorry. Black people are pens. So he said like Italians are like, pens. And then, they asked like what I did. I told them, and, this and that. And then Harlan was like, oh, when you bang your wife, does she get Botox? I'm like, yeah. He's like, does she sound like, and like they played like a dolphin, and it was funny. And then he had asked me again, and I'm like, hey, my name's not Andrew, it's Silvio. And they were like, what? I'm like, yeah, my name is Silvio. Like I didn't even hear them say anything. And then that was it. Like, dude, great fucking job. They gave me if you do good, you get a big joke book. And I'm walking down the stairs, and Cam Patterson was coming up, and he was like, yo, nice job, man. And like hand tapped me. And then I remember I turned the corner, and like Joe Rogan was there, and Aaron Rodgers. And I hate Aaron Rodgers, by the way. But I walked by, and Rogan was like, nice stuff, man. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. And like Aaron Rodgers, like, nice stuff. And I wish I could have said I didn't fist pound him, but I did. And I like fist pounded him, and I was just kind of behind the stage, and they're like, okay, leave. And I'm like, I can't, like everything is guarded off. So then they just like opened one of the gates and put me on the bottom and told me to walk. And like everyone in the crowd's like, oh my God. I went back up to like my section, and like everyone was like cheering, like it was that high. And when we were leaving, as we're all like, walking, as I'm like going down, everyone was like, yo, you're the fucking guy from on stage, like shaking my hand. I'm like, thank you. We went outside, and like, Madison Square Garden's attached to Penn Station. So we went outside. The train was in like 20 minutes. So as we go downstairs, now we're like outside, and I was like, take a picture in front of me at MSG, like to my friend. Probably like that night, I probably took 150 pictures. People kept asking for pictures, like added me on Instagram, like right there. And my barber was like, this fucking guy, man, his head is so big. And I'm like, don't talk to me. I was like, I'm getting free haircuts the rest of my life. And my wife had called me because I finally got my phone out. And she was like, I can't fucking believe you got on stage. I'm like, how do you know? Because like, I know she's not watching the stream. She didn't pay for it. She's like, I had like 10 patients call me and were like, your fucking husband's on stage.
Oh, wow.
They were like, he talked about you and said your kids' names. Because like Dave Attell was like, they asked me what my kids' names were. And I'm like, oh, Luciano, Sienna, Capri. And Dave Attell's like, I've driven all those model cars. And I'm like, all right. Like, and it was just like, and then I get home, my wife was like sleeping. It was like 2:30 in the morning because we were on the train, and like people were like swarming me to get to the train. Like, I'm not even joking. I have videos that my barber took. We get on the train, it was packed, and I sat by the window. And at one point I like sneezed, and the train was so packed, like there was no seats, everyone was in the middle, and they're like, that's the Kill Tony guy. They kept taking pictures. We had to get off at Forest Hills. And I was like, dude, I'll get an Uber, I'll pay for it. Cause they were like, dude, I'm not dealing with this like the rest of the night. People leaning over. I mean, I loved it. And like I would have loved to take an hour train ride of people doing that the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so high on it.
There's the high.
I could have overdosed.
Yep, that is an overdose.
And then in the morning, so I woke up, I wake my wife up. I'm like, get up. Like, I'm telling her all about it. And she's like, just tell me tomorrow. I'm like, bitch, you better get up right now. Like, so I didn't even sleep. Like, I finally fell asleep at maybe 5:30 in the morning because I was texting people. People were calling me that watched it. People were there. My brother's friend was there. He's like, I just fucking saw you. I was in the crowd. So I wake up the next morning to like 80 text messages. And I'm thinking people are going to be like, congrats. And it's just Reddit threads. Like of me, like with this, and like some dirty guinea stole someone's name because they called me Andrew Parker. I just didn't hear it.
Oh, wow.
And like he stole his name, but people were actually defending me. Like they couldn't find that guy. I was in the area. So that went on for like ever. People ripping me online. I didn't care. And then I posted like just a video. I'm like, dude, I can't believe you guys called me Andrew Parker. Like, come on, I don't look like that. That's I said like a white bread name. I'm a Semolina. I'm like, come on, I would have stole like a Giovanni or, a Lorenzo. And so later that night, at this point, I'm in a full crash because I'm like, I knew the guy, Andrew. Like I seen him around. He had an Instagram. He maybe had like 1,000 followers. That next day he had like 30,000 followers. I'm like, oh my God, everyone followed this guy. So I was like so mad. And then that night I was just sick. And I was like, I'm not even touching my phone. I'm so mad. And I picked up my phone at like 8 o'clock at night and had a bunch of notifications. And like, I went to the messages and Shane Gillis messaged me and was like, good shit last night, dude. Nice job. And then he like added me and I was like, I'm back. I was like, I'm back. So
that's fantastic. So since then, did you gain even more and more followers?
Truthfully, I didn't get that many followers from it, but then like Aaron Belial and like Martin Phillips were doing a tour, like the Crips tour. And they were in New Jersey, New York, and like they reached out to me and were like, we saw you on the show. And so I did like New York Comedy Club, the Stress Factory in Bridgeport, and then I did the Funny Bone in Manchester in Connecticut. It's like in that mall.
Yep.
I did those with them, and they wanted me to go to Rochester. I mean, they were like basically guest spots. They're like, yo, we'd want you to come. And I was like, yeah. And they wanted me to go to Rochester and Albany. And I'm like, dude, I'm not driving all the way up there. Like just for those two. It was like, because all these shows are right in a row. I'm like, my wife's going to be pissed if I'm like gone for 4 days, like out of nowhere. But yeah, they've been like really cool. And then I'm supposed to go out. I have a work meeting in Houston in February. But I'm actually going like a couple of days before, like the Thursday before. And they got me like a couple of guest spots in Austin. And then I'm going to try to fill out the weekend. And then if there's something in Houston, even get something just to get on stage.
I can hook you up in Dallas.
Yeah.
There's a comedy club my friend owns, TK's Comedy Club. It's right down the block from the Improv. There's two comedy clubs within walking distance. So you got to pick one because they don't like when you play both. Yeah. Which is a pain in the ass. But I mean, I don't deal with that anymore. I just do my own thing. But so you're addicted by the stand-up bug. You'd rather do stand-up than...
I would rather do stand-up than like anything else. And like obviously, like I do the Instagram skits because like I'm not on stage every night, you know, like with just my schedule with like the kids, it's hard for babysitters. So I try to do Monday, Wednesday, and then like a Friday or Saturday. So, but I try to just post one skit at least a day just to like kind of stay relevant.
How is your career going over at Governors? You guys playing over there?
Truthfully, I don't do Governors that much. I've done it a couple of times, but like, you know, they like you to like hang out, which is fine. But there's times like I would go on the weekend and then I'll get like something at St. Mark's or somewhere in the city. So I'll go and then they'll be like, hey, I didn't see you. How come you weren't here last week? I'm like, well, because I got a show. You know?
The thing about showing up at clubs is it puts your face and your name in their thoughts. So it's always a good thing to just show up, say hi, have a drink, and then split.
Yeah, that's like what I've been doing at Gubs. Like,
Yeah.
say hi to Jimmy, I say hi to Ange, hang out for like an hour or two, and then I just head home.
Weren't you getting ready, or aren't you going to be doing a show at a theater?
Yeah. So they have like some kind of control at like the theaters. So I'm trying to put on a show. April 18th is the date. I've been going back and forth. I just talked to Ange the other day that a holiday party on Monday. So I'm supposed to actually talk to her later today about like finalizing it, because if it's too much of a hassle with like the theater, I might just do it at Governor's, like the actual club, just to kind of get it done. But
You should produce your own show.
I want to. That's why.
At that place, show them that you can fill the place.
Yeah.
Because it's all about making money and doing numbers. And then when you're done, they'll ask you to come back on your own night, do your own thing.
Yeah.
Did you go to the Christmas party? I couldn't make it.
Yeah, I did.
How was it?
It was good. Honestly, for some reason, I thought there would only be like 20, 30 people. There was like 500 people. They like clear everything out. There was like a dance floor. It was good. I stayed for like a couple hours and then I got out of there.
Right. Well, that's a great way to mix a bunch of other comedians, show your face, see who's there. I probably knew everybody, but I couldn't get over there. I mean,
it's a hike even from here, too. It probably takes you an hour and a half at least.
I recently, I don't know when this episode's going to air, but I was doing so many shows that I actually got to experience a snowstorm and then the firestorm. I hit them both. I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting too old to do so much, but I enjoy going. I just want to be around the guys that I like being around. That's why when we do the theater shows, I'm going to build them to be even bigger so that everybody will get a good, nice slice of pie, but you'll be on stage and you'll kill, and you'll be happy with the team.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so difficult to have that happiness with the team. I know everybody wants to be the closing act. Everybody wants to be the big name. But while you're not, enjoy the fact that you're with the guys who are. It's not like they're brand new. They've been around a long time.
Exactly. I know. I say that all the time. Like, even like my buddy Jay, I think he's way funnier than me on stage. And he's always like, I wish I was like you. You're big on Instagram. I'm like, what is that doing for me? I want to do stand-up. Like, I don't care about the internet. And when I said I want to do the show, I'm like, I would love to have you on. And he's like, do you want me to close it? I'm like, really? You should. But I was like, I'm going to do it. He's like, bro, you don't want me to go before you. I'm like, you know what? I like the challenge. Like, at this point, like, I'm going to go last and like close it. And I'm like, if I don't do as good, but like, that's like my main goal. I'm like, I have to do better than him. He's like, oh, you better hope. I'm like, oh, I like the challenge. Like,
Well, a lot of people are under the illusion that, or may or may not be, if you have a very large following and you make an announcement that you're performing somewhere, you'll sell a shitload of tickets.
Yeah, no.
I often wonder about that because I've had some, guys with big followings and they don't sell any tickets, and I sold all the tickets, and I'm like, what the fuck did you all do?
Yeah, they're just there.
How did I do this? I don't even have that big of a following.
A guy at I'm pretty sure it was Govs the other day. He has like 1.2 million followers. They only sold 9 tickets, and then they do like half off tickets at like the last day or free tickets like plus the fee.
Really?
And it filled out, and I was like, how? How do you have a million followers and they don't show up like fill?
Is the million followers real? Or are they faking it?
I don't know. I don't know who the comedian was. Like when they were telling me, I didn't ask, but I don't know. Like I know some people who are like, oh, I buy followers. I'm like, but what's the point? What would be the purpose of doing that?
I never understand.
I delete the bots. Like if they're like those like scam bots, like you'll get like the random girls. Oh, come meet me. I just delete them and off my thing too because I'm like, I don't need to mess my numbers up. Like I want to see who actually thinks I'm funny or, versus random bots and things just to look good. I'm like, I could care less.
I had these last 6 shows wherever we were on tour, and they all sold out. They had all these opening acts talking about their big followings, and I go, your followings are not in this room. And I can tell because I'm so blessed that I'm at the level where I can almost not recognize an audience, but I feel who's been there before. Some people come wearing my shirts. Some people yell out specific jokes they want to hear.
that's
I'll do a new joke. That's great. I'm like, oh yeah, And then there's the luck. We were just out on tour, and you get a phone call. Hey, I own this hair salon. I'd like to give you a free haircut if you mention us on your Instagram.
Yeah.
And I go, well, I really don't have that much hair, and I don't know about getting a straight razor shave, but I'm with 2 other comedians. Hook them up.
Yeah.
And they're in there getting haircuts and getting all dolled up. And I'm like, see? And we put it up on Instagram, and everybody's happy. Well, some people like that will put it up on their Instagram, and I sell more tickets because we're just being cool.
Yeah.
And just being cool. When we did that one video when you guys were here, I forgot what we were doing.
In the driveway.
I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah.
And the guys, you got to see this. I don't know where the video is, but we were just clowning around. And I don't know what I said, but the comments were, this guy's the real deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because Pork was like, he was, I think I was wearing like a tracksuit or something. And they're like, look at this guy. He's Italian. You're Italian? And we were all saying something. And you're like, I'm not even Italian.
Yeah, I faked the whole thing.
Yeah, you're like, I'm Irish. I've been faking it the whole time.
And everybody's like, that's the real guy.
Yeah. So it was just
things like that are fun. And I like doing that. So.
I always think I like to do like the skits with people, but like a lot of times when I just randomly like rant about stuff, like it'll do better than like other stuff. Like when I'm just like being real.
Yeah. Well, the truth is always going to be funny because somebody else experienced what you said.
Yeah.
That's really what makes stand-ups hilarious. Because the audience is going to say, oh my God, I think he read my mind.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that happened to me yesterday. Oh my God, my ex-boyfriend said the same thing. So whenever you do something that's real, that happens to you in your life, you're going to hit it out of the ballpark because everybody's going to be, oh man, that's us. Oh yeah. So keep on doing that and, always keep it real, whether it's Italian or just your family. Families usually.
Yeah. Well, that's like
great material.
On stage, I just talk about my family.
Yeah.
And like I've had people who've come to shows like from Instagram, like, you didn't do Italian stuff. I'm like, yeah, I talk about my son. I'm like, I guess just do Italian stuff on Instagram. I'm like,
it's also cute.
Yeah.
I don't know how old your kids are, but when you hit that slice of life, it makes everybody go, oh my God, that's us.
Yeah. Like, and all my kids, like my oldest is 5. The rest of them are all younger. So they're all little kids. So.
Plus timing.
Yeah.
Delivery and joy. We got to get going. Tell everybody where they can find you on all your social media platforms.
All social media stuff. Really just Instagram, the biggest, and Facebook is thatdad_Sil.
Thatdad_Sil?
Sil, S-I-L.
Silvio. Yep. All right. That's really cool.
Yeah,
you got a website?
Me, man. I don't have a website. I should get one.
Just the Instagram?
Just the Instagram. I try to do everything
really?
on there.
No TikTok?
Truthfully, I mean, I don't really I should update it. I was actually happy about the TikTok ban because I'm like, I don't have to post on there.
Yeah.
But I don't really keep up with it, to be honest.
All right. Well, we're going to go, folks. We're going to have some fun. You're going to see this guy on stage with me if you want to come out on tour with me.
Oh, listen, I'm
Eventually,
down.
We're going to do some cool ass shit, whether we do it in New Jersey or Chicago or wherever the hell it is we're going. And let's just make America Italian again. You know the motto. You don't know nothing. You don't see nothing. You don't say nothing. Let me thank my producer, Tatiana Blueshell, for always making sure we have a great guest come down to the basement. And she puts it out there. Not only is it on our YouTube channel, but it's also on Spotify. My YouTube channel is Mike Marino Live on YouTube. I guess you know that. Every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, you can also listen to this podcast on Italian American Radio in New York City. We got to get going. Now, how do I end my podcast? By saying the same thing with my guest every time. I was supposed to tell you before you came down here, but it's don't take no shit from nobody.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
Don't take no shit from nobody. Hey folks, thanks for watching Live from my mother's basement. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, hit the word like and leave me a really cool comment. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the future episodes and you can watch some of the funniest videos on the internet. You can also listen to the show on Spotify or your favorite podcast app.